I am proud to present you the perfect Infernity list. I've already talked about perfect builds of Infernity before, and that wasn't necessarily incorrect. At the time of building those builds, they were indeed the perfect builds. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an ever-changing game. I sometimes find new attacks or combos that work, like you saw in yesterday's combo video, and when such is the case I need to adjust my deck. So in this case we changed up quite a bit in the main deck. Also, please ignore the side deck, those are topics for later talk later in the deck profile. We'll get onto these, don't worry, I'm not running a further spreadsheet suddenly. But yeah, I just want to talk about those later in the video. But first off, I want to talk about my deck. So what is the goal? Well, some things haven't changed. What you still want to do is open either Necromancer or finish Rhino Warrior with any level 3 extender plus a revival spell. You run 3-0 max, 3 Dark World Reinforcements, a Monster Reborn and 3 Succession. So the chance of opening one of those is very, very big. And there are ways to play around not opening one of them. There are possibly ways to play around them. Also just noticed I forgot a big card that I want to talk about later. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to, start the combo yourself. And there's also some variants if you open other combo pieces like Void Apocalypse, sorry. It displays Calamity in the artwork. Anyways, this card, it has some ways to interact with hands that don't necessarily use the revival spells, but that's something for later in the video. Also, Patriarch is really good. Sometimes I consider bumping it up to 2 because it's just such a good starter as well. But regardless, it's 3 axes, that's something you should notice. I mean, 3 level 4s, 1 level 1, 2 level 1s, then so many level 3s, that's 3 axes for you. Now, a few things might confuse you. We are still running Wildcat, but it's only as a target for the Hulky Fibrax. It's a bit of a garnet. We only run 1 Mirage now, we don't need to run additional copies. And we don't run the tour guide, which I will explain once again later. But the easiest reason for not running tour guide is simply to play around effect failure and impermanence. Right now there isn't anything that can really failure or impermanence if you open the right hand. So it makes us immune to more hand traps. Failure doesn't do it much, impermanence doesn't do much. With right hand we can play through the Nibiru. The only hand trap that really stops this build is Ash. We can't play around the Ash Blossom. There are hands we can theoretically do it, but it's hard. Yeah, so this build. Okay, so of course you're on the one Archfiend. Let's start with the Infernity ratio. So 1 Archfiend, of course. Even if it goes to 2 or 3, you are only running 1 Archfiend. It's a garnet. You have guaranteed ways of getting it into your grave. You don't want to open it. If it theoretically ever goes to 3, we might change the build up a bit to maybe accommodate more copies of Archfiend instead of running 3 Necromancer or something. But as it is right now, 1 Archfiend is fine, and in this 3 axis build I wouldn't run more than 1 anyway. So if you're in the OCG, just run 1 copy anyway. 1 Patriarch, very good extender that we can search. Wildcat's a bit of a brick, you don't want to open it. I see a lot of people running this card and it's a mistake. This needs another Infernity monster to be discarded to special summon itself. How many Infernity monsters do we run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The odds of opening another Infernity aren't high enough to justify running this card. If Infernity ever gets a Rhoda, which in my opinion they should, then yeah, Wildcat suddenly becomes good. I mean, imagine discarding a General, for example. But there's no discard fodder that's reliable for Wildcat, that's why I never ran it, but now we need it as a Hulky Fibrax target, so that's changed. Basically, the slot Conjurer used to be, and then a Paranoia used to exist on top of it. We don't run the Paranoia anymore, and the Conjurer is replaced with a Wildcat. Still running 2 Gilasaurus, I think it's fine with the Fossil deck. Tsukinoko and that, yeah. Sorry, I was talking about the front rate. 3 Necromancer. I considered lowering it. I used to run it at 2, but it's one of the starter pieces you need for your combo. If you just open Necromancer and at level 3, you can go into Cherubini and send Archfiend for cost, and even Ash won't do anything. Because you normal summon Necromancer, you special summon level 3 that you have multiple of. Go into the Cherubini. Cherubini sends the Archfiend, sends Fiendish, and then it can negate Fiendish. Regardless though, it makes it even harder to hand trap you. I like it. Double Kagemusha Knight. Now that, oh yes, sorry, Infernity Rangers first. I keep forgetting. 1 Avenger is enough. 1 Mirage. You can just cycle it with Leviair. It's fine. That's 1. You don't need multiple copies anymore. One of the big changes allows us to run more consistency cards, like the Apocalypse. Infernity wise, triple barrier. I went down to 2 for a bit, but the new combo guarantees 3 barrier even without any other new extenders, so yeah. Not running 3 is a bit foolish, I think. Makes it harder to break your board, makes it impossible, honestly. This is like an FTK deck almost. Yeah, extenders. So 3 Fiendish Rhino Warriors, it just sends either the Archfiend or the Necromancer, which is what you need to open. Double Gigasaurus summons itself, 3 Fossil Dig to search it. I mean, it works fine. Tsukinoko and the Jackalope, if those ever go up I would run more copies, but they're currently at 1, so I run 1. Makes sense, right? Harris is a bit of a garnet, you need it to make some plays work. It works, you need it specifically to run charge it to a Dark World. Although if you open your Harris, you can discard it with charge it to the Dark World or something like that. Or even the Dugaris, since this discards an effect. To then search your Archfiend. There are ways to basically... It's not necessarily a brick. Let's put it at that. This is not necessarily a card you don't want to draw anymore nowadays. The one Siege Street Patrols needed to make certain hands work. I've playtested this build for a bit and I noticed that multiple hands needed the Stage and Street Patrol. Just like multiple hands need the Hyris. Those are just necessary evils in Infernity. That you can't run Infernity without these, in my opinion. Yeah, Kagemusha Knights, so this is something new. When you normal summon level 3, you can just special summon it. It's also a warrior, which allows us to run the reinforcement of the army, which you can set, just like the Fossil Dig, and this is something I like, just being able to set it, and if we need it, we can add it to our hands, but if we don't need it, we just set the Rota. I like it when you can do that, that's why I run it. 3-0 max, 3 Dark World reinforcements, 3 Succession, and the Monster Reborn. Sure, this and Succession are once per turn, but you need to open them. That's why I opted to run a maximum amount of them. One of the cards I will already talk about, you can theoretically run Power Exceed, then go to Dugaris, but it disallows you to go into Dugaris after the opening play. That's why I don't like it myself, but it's an option you can consider. Outside of that, yeah, this is just consistency together with Upstart. Just, you know, especially Upstart you can just set and use it if you ever need it. It's why Infernity doesn't mind running Upstart over 40 cards in general. I like it really. And of course, as the Void Apocalypse, you can just discard anything to send a Fiend monster from the deck to the grave, which worst case scenario will be a Street Patrol. Good scenarios, you can just send the Archfiend and Necromancer to start up your plays. Most of the time you don't really need this, but it's like we have 2 slots left, might as well just run Consistency Booster, because being more consistent never hurts. Extra deck, it's just all cards we need. The Void Ogre sometimes comes up. Savage Dragon is definitely needed against decks like Eldritch. Since usually you use the Gyara's Revive effect, you use it almost every time. And when you do, this suddenly is your only negate until your main phase 2. Where, you know, decks can take you by surprise. 200 Eyes, Mirage Loops, Arclight, just easy negate. Also counters Skull Servant. Dugaris, I mean, yeah, it's Lavalval Chain. This is literally Lavalval Chain, to be honest. 2 Leviaires, watch yesterday's combo video to see why. Still the triple Sayuja, you usually only use 2 copies, but I mean, you can just go for 3, it's possible. Appaloosa, of course, still Broken Link. Lambda, it does better arrows than the 2100 attacker, which I forgot the name of, that I usually run the Codebreaker. Hulky Fibrax, we now run this to summon Wildcat from deck to go into Leviair. Cherubini, of course, it's the name of the deck. Now, that's the main deck, I hope it makes sense. I tested it a lot, it's definitely more consistent than previous builds, and it's more explosive, and it's just way better in general. Now, let's move on to the side deck. Infernity Suppression is a card that we often discussed. No matter what you think of the card, it's a 0 or 3 of. The thing with Infernity Suppression is that you don't ever want to search it. If you search it, your opponent will know it's active, and then they can just wait to use their hand traps until when you have a card in your hand. So like the Bureau, they can just drop when you have a card in your hand, you know? Something like your Sayuja. Oh, you summoned Sayuja. Okay, now I will negate it. Well, you have got in your hand, so you can't prevent it with Suppression. So if you ever run Suppression, run it as a 3 of, so you don't have to search it. Otherwise, just don't run it. I think you shouldn't run it, but if you insist on running it, run it as a 3 of. Tour Guide. Now, this is a card I've got, and that might surprise a few of you. Tour Guide is a really good starter, but it's really weak against Effect Failure and Permanence, which we don't really care about now. So that's why I decided to, you know, run it. Paranoia is just not needed anymore, we don't need extension, we use Wildcat via Hulky Fireback for it now, so we can cut this for extra consistency. Allure is a card considered, but we don't really have that many darks we can just banish without really suffering consequences, that's why I decided to cut it. If you find a way to run more darks, you could theoretically put it in. If Tsukinoko and Jackalope go to higher numbers than 1, yeah, Allure will definitely return, but right now, I don't think it's the best choice. Yes, you have something like Kakamusha Knight, but I don't want to run 3 Kakamusha Knights that clogs, and then just running 3 to justify Allure. In the past we had the triple Mirage, it was really nice to sometimes just get the Mirage in the banish pile and then do Leviair plays before the combo starts, but nowadays that's just not a thing anymore. Shishara King was a nice extender, or extra negate, but we just don't have the space anymore. These 2 cards are actually side deck cards you should consider if you plan on going second. These are really good cards to side deck right now. They beat up decks like Eldritch. And yeah, in general they're just good. As I already mentioned this one as well. So yeah, that's the quote-unquote perfect Infernity build. I hope you guys like it. I spent a lot of time trying to create it. I think, yeah, this is pretty much the perfect build that's possible with the current pool of cards in the TCG. Might be wrong. If so, tell me, but I don't think I missed anything. I think this is the perfect build. I've tested consistency, it's really consistent. Yeah, what's there to say? It's just a really good Infernity build. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. I'll be doing a lot of footage with this deck soon, battling against meta decks and stuff, so that will be fun. Anyways, peace.